you've never been a mother before, this version of you with a baby has never existed before. And that means you need to figure it out and you need to learn. Welcome to my channel, a space where we talk about motherhood, marriage, homemaking, soul care, and just whatever else I feel like throwing into the mix. I became a mother for the first time 16 months ago to a beautiful bouncing baby boy. It has almost been 17 months into this motherhood journey. And when I first found that I was pregnant, there was obviously a mix of emotion, obviously happiness, but also just like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how to do this because it's my first time, right? And I threw myself into videos like this one. I threw myself into channels where women were talking about different types of experiences, from the more practical advice videos where maybe they walk you through like, this is actually how you change a diaper, or actually how you breastfeed, or whatever the case may be. I think this video will be less practical and more about the mindset shift and just the perspective change that I think would have helped me more if I leaned into it. Not that the practical videos aren't helpful, they definitely have their space, but a lot of it is just that mental resilience, that mindset. I feel like your perspective affects a lot about your experience, and that's true across the board, regardless of if it's motherhood or just anything in general. The way we look at things, the way we process things has such a big impact on the type of experience we have. Just a disclaimer before I dive into the first point, these are all things that are obviously from my perspective. This is just my experience. It doesn't mean that you will have the same experience, but because everyone is different, everybody has a different set of circumstances, everybody has a different way of looking at things. This is just my way, my experience, and I really hope that someone out there will maybe be enriched by me sharing this, and that's all it is. I'm not saying that everybody will think about this the same way. I'm not saying that everybody will benefit from thinking about like it how I do. Just a disclaimer, because the internet is a bit, sometimes people just take things you say to the extreme very unnecessarily. I think that motherhood is one of those things where you really don't know until you are there. And I know that can sound a bit cliche. I went in feeling like if I watched every video, if I spoke to everyone, if I had all of the resources, then I was going to smooth sail through this. I really felt like all I needed to do is just get as much information as possible, and it was going to be a walk in the park for me. I'm a very much a logic, knowledge, information based person. Like, I like to know what I'm getting myself into. I really just realized after baby was here that all of that just went out the window. I think there was definitely a lot of valuable tips and advice that came from that. Truth is that you can never read enough books. You can never watch enough videos. Yes, it can give you a sense. In my opinion, it can give you a sense of what you are going into. But the experience itself is where the transformation actually happens. When you actually do finally have your baby and you are walking the day in and day out of caring for your baby, that is when you are doing the most, and what I would argue the more valuable amount and type of learning. You really don't know how it will affect you, how it will change your life, how it will make you feel until you are in it. The good news is that most mothers are very happy once they get a hang of things, once they figure it out. Most of us, and probably you too, will manage. You will understand and grow to feel a sense of balance, a sense of like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing, a sense of rhythm and routine. Most of us will feel that, and a lot of us will get to that point with a lot of help and support from the people around us, or even help and support from different services we pay for. You are very much likely to come out on the other side feeling like you have got a handle on this, that you were born to be a mom. I know that's not the case for every single mother out there, because I know there are some cases where it is a very big adjustment for some women and they never actually really feel like, oh, okay, this motherhood thing, I'm used to it, I've grown into it. And I think that can be a conversation on its own. But from what I've heard, from what I've seen, for the vast majority of women, you are likely to come out on the other side of this feeling a lot more competent, feeling like this is more instinctive, feeling like you've got a better handle on this part of your life eventually. Don't expect to go into anything feeling like, okay, this will be easy because I read a book, or this will be easy because I watched a video. Understand that your baby is so unique to you. Your baby is not like anybody else's baby, because your baby is a human, and humans are all unique in their own ways. You are obviously unique, so your experience will be unique. That means you will definitely find yourself feeling like, wait, I thought I was prepared, but I don't feel prepared. There's a lot of moments I had like that where I was like, dude, I read the book, I went through this, my husband and I did the classes, but come showtime, it's like, wait, what? I think that's something I wish I had just allowed myself a bit more understanding, and that yes, reading and learning and knowledge, as much as I love those things, they're good. Ultimately, the real growth and the real learning happens after baby is here. Both you and baby actually are learning. You guys are doing things for the first time. Both you and baby are learning what your rhythm, what your relationship is going to look like, how you guys will be there for each other, how you guys will go through this journey together. Like in varsity, you know, you have your theory days, and then you have your days where you're actually doing like lab work or you're doing practical work. You can learn something in theory and just be like, feel very confident, and then you get to the practical and everything is not doing what it's supposed to do, you know, because the textbook said this must happen. But you know, you're dealing with a human, you know, your husband, your baby are all humans in the situation. Because of that, things can very much not look like how they are supposed to look like. Things can very much not look like how, you know, the video said it was going to look like. And don't feel like because your experience is not like what you learned about or what other women said their experiences were like, that you're doing something wrong. And whenever you do have those moments, if you do have those moments, I just want you to remember that that's fine. I think that's part of the experience. If you've ever been a mother before, this version of you with a baby has never existed before. And that means you need to figure it out and you need to learn. And I know a lot of motherhood spaces like to talk about how there is a maternal instinct that all women have. And I do believe that mothers have a maternal instinct, but sometimes can make it seem like you're just supposed to know everything. And that wasn't my experience. Like I remember distinctly, it was a time when I think maybe 6 to 8 weeks into, you know, postpartum, and my baby was crying. And, you know, at this point, a lot of resources and women were telling me that, you know, you'll just know what cries your baby's having, what the different cries mean. And I was reading that a lot. And then I was at a group setting with other moms as well. And it wasn't like a mom meeting, but it was a social gathering where there happened to be other mothers as well. And one of them asked me like, "Oh, what does he want? You know, what is he crying for?" Because I'm supposed to know at this point, right? Like what my baby's cries mean. I didn't know what it, dude. I was literally with my baby day in day out because I am a stay-at-home mom, so I was always with my baby. And I still like maybe now I can sort of figure out what his cries are, but back then I was clueless and I felt so bad because my maternal instinct. I'm supposed to know, right? I'm supposed to know what my baby's cries mean. I'm supposed to like have a sense of, you know, what he wants, and just because of my maternal instinct. And that's just not how I felt. I remember feeling like a bit of self-doubt because like I'm supposed to know this. Like what's wrong with me? Do I not have the maternal instinct? But it's okay to give yourself time to learn. Though we have a maternal instinct, that doesn't mean we're like God and we just like can read our baby's minds. That does mean that for different women it will happen at different paces, but if you commit to it, you will learn how to do this thing in the midst of it. And that's fine. I know for people like me, it can be a bit daunting to realize that like I can read as much as I want to read, but when I am there, that's when the real learning will happen. That can be a bit daunting and scary. The beautiful thing is that you are more than likely going to come out of the other side knowing exactly what your baby's cries mean. It just took me maybe a longer time than most people would have expected me, but that's okay. That's completely fine. This is your first time, and it is okay to give yourself the time to adjust. Even if you should be prepared, you should know, you should have read the books, you should have watched the videos, doesn't matter. That's a different thing when you're actually in the fire. So I want to give myself that grace, and I want to extend that to you as well. Just have that understanding and don't put that pressure on yourself to just know everything just because you watched the YouTube videos and you read the books. There's still an element of learning that is waiting for me, and that's fine. And embracing that mindset, I think, will help like ease the pressure to know stuff just because you read and learned about them beforehand. And on that note, as I mentioned earlier, the version of you that has a baby has never existed before. This is when it has started to exist. And just that reality, if you all can hear my toddler in the back, he's with his dad and they are, you know, having boys time. So I'm not even gonna try and like edit it out or anything. That's just what my house sounds like. Anyway, this is also your baby's first time. He or she is also learning how to be in this world, and you are there to guide them, but you are also learning how to be a mom. Your baby's father is also learning how to be a dad. Your parents are also learning how to support you in this season because this is the first time. Realizing that this is everybody's first time, I think it should take the pressure off of everyone's shoulders, guys. I remember sometimes being like, oh, why isn't this person supporting me in this way? This is their first time, you know? And I think understanding that, extending that grace to yourself, but also extending that grace to everyone around you, and allowing not only yourself to learn and grow, but allowing your husband, allowing your friends, allowing your family to also learn like how we're going to navigate. This is new for all of us. You also need to learn maybe how to ask ask for help, how to invite people into your bubble. Maybe because of social media and how other people talk about their experiences, we can maybe feel like, oh my gosh, everybody else just needs to know how to support me. Everybody else just needs to know what they must do for me. And it's like, no, they don't. Dude, this is literally everybody in the room right now. This is our first time. This is our first time, guys. Can we chill with the expectations? That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and show up and we should just excuse people who are not being considerate of where we're at. But I do sometimes think that we can also have unfair expectations of especially our partners. Maybe we see how supportive other people's partners are, other people's husbands are, and we're like, why isn't my husband? He's learning. Like, if he is a committed father, he is trying. And I think I had to give my husband grace as well. We talk a lot about how in this motherhood journey we need to give ourselves grace, we need to give, understand that motherhood is this and it's that. But I also think it's equally important as the mother to also give your husband grace, to also give your family grace, to also give your friends grace. It's like I was the first person in all of my friends groups to be a mom. My baby's also the first grandchild, so there's a lot of firsts that came with my baby, and I think it's not fair for me to just expect that everybody just know exactly how to support me or how to show up or what to say or what not to say. Or do you know what I mean? Like, definitely people can go out of their way to learn and stuff, but this is just the beginning. My baby is going to grow and there'll be other seasons, and with time, God willing, we all grow and learn how to do this version of our lives better. Our friends will learn, our family will learn, our husbands will learn, we will learn. So that's just something I wanted to emphasize because I really wish I thought about that more. We really need to just step back and not have unrealistic expectations, because regardless of what social media makes it seem like, everybody else's family showed up for them, everybody else's partner was 100% perfect. It's good to be willing to show up for people, and it's good to see that people are trying, but it's not good to have unrealistic expectations. Ask yourself, is it fair what I'm expecting from these people, or are they generally just trying to learn and grow just like how I am, just like how my baby is? And I think that will just take a little bit of weight off your shoulders. The last thing that I wish I would have known, and something that I'm still, I guess, internalizing, is the reality that motherhood is an addition to my identity, but it's not my ultimate identity. I don't believe or subscribe. Is the word subscribe? Speaking of subscribe, if you're enjoying this video and you would love to see more, kindly subscribe. That was a shameless plug. But anyway, I subscribe to the idea that my value as a woman is not in my roles, be it as a wife, it's not in my role as a mom, sister, friend, daughter. My value is firmly, because I'm a Christian girly, if you haven't read the room yet, but I am a Christian woman, and I believe that my value ultimately comes from Jesus. It ultimately comes from what he has done for me on the cross. And that means that regardless of if it is motherhood, if it is being a wife, it is being a daughter, being an employee, whatever it is, I do have moments and often where I start to feel like my value is tied to how good of a mom I feel like I am. Motherhood is not the end all be all. Yes, it is important. It's so important. Some would argue it's the most important work within our society. It is very important. It is beautiful. I don't want to take away from motherhood on its own by saying what I'm saying now, but I do want to emphasize that motherhood for me is an addition to my identity. And I think in the beginning days, I definitely held my value as a person with like how good of a mother I am. If that makes sense. Was I able to calm my baby down fast enough? If it wasn't fast enough for my own liking, I would then feel like, oh, I'm not a good mom. My baby loves his father, guys. My baby loves his father, and I love it for them so much. And I remember it would actually bother me. This is just a vulnerable moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I a bad mom? Because he just wants his dad. Those first like 9 months to a year, your baby is attached to you, especially because I was breastfeeding. So my baby was like this. And I guess in some weird way that made me feel like, oh, okay, if my baby needs me, it means I'm a good mom. And that would make me feel positive about my value, my sense of self, because being a good mom was tied to how much I valued myself, basically. And then came, around the 1 year mark, it was like, nope, I'm all about that. Peace out. And I was like, what? After everything we've been through? Like, are you serious? That took a toll, and I think it took a toll on me mostly because I tied, how much my baby needed me with how good of a mother I was, and that was tied to my sense of self-worth. What I'm trying to say with this point is that motherhood does not have to be who you are in your entirety. It can very well be a very important part of who you are, but it is an addition and it is a part of who you are. When you come into this motherhood journey, please don't feel bad if you are not all encompassed, that this is you live and you breathe motherhood. This is just everything I am. And whether I am a good mom or a bad mom, according to my own self, that determines my self-worth. If I make a mistake, that means I'm a bad mom. All of that talk, I'm gonna need to let it go. Like, if you are dedicated to your children and their well-being and their wellness, you're a good mother, right? And it's taken me a while. It's something I've shared about before, where it's taken me a while to really just feel completely comfortable in participating in activities and hobbies and things where I'm not around my baby. I love being around him. I love being attuned to his needs and just trying to be perceptive and be in sync with him. It's something that brings me a lot of joy, and I love that. But I think the downside of that is when I struggle to participate in other activities, events where I don't feel 100% settled because I'm not with my baby. This is really a tangent, y'all. Once we tie how good or how bad of a mom we are to our sense of self-worth, I think that's where things like mom guilt come in, because we hold ourselves up to an impossible standard. It is more than a week later when I'm finishing this video, but whatever. If you do take away anything from this video, I really hope it is encouraging as well as real for you as you're listening to this. I know that some of these things might be a bit like silly for some people, where it's like, obviously the learning happens afterwards, obviously it's everyone's first time, obviously motherhood doesn't have to be your identity. But I am speaking to my first time mom heart. When I look back to where I was a few months in, maybe it is also just because of the kind of person I am. A video like this, I feel, would have really helped me have a more real expectation, but also feel encouraged that I'm not alone, even when it does feel uncertain and daunting and like I should have been prepared. That is the goal of my channel as a whole, honestly, that as I go through these changes, as you go through these changes, that we can sort of like hold each other in a way where we're keeping each other in the realm of reality, because social media is already full of unrealistic, it's already full of crazy standards for all of us to meet. Yes, we can do great things and we can aspire to great things. Things being real and not perfect and not aspirational and not aesthetic does not make it bad or less than. Things being challenging, things being daunting does not have to translate to them being bad or less than somebody else's seemingly perfect experience. Like, we can embrace the transition, the mess, the chaos, the figuring outness that comes with life and its changes as women, and still find beauty and find so much joy in that. The unknown of mothering and parenting in general can really be a source of excitement. It's really helpful to look at it in a way of like, this is exciting. I'm going to discover my baby and my future children as well, who they are, what God has placed in them for me to steward. And at the same time, I'm also going to go through a transformation and discover who the self or the person, the woman that I am who has kids, who is she? What does she take away from this experience? Who does she grow to become? How does she change? How does she evolve is the word I'm looking for. And that's exciting. Prior to becoming the person I am today, post a lot of changes over the past few years of my life, I was very scared of uncertainty. Motherhood in particular has been one of those changes where it has taught me that you don't need to know in order to get excited for the journey that is ahead of you. First and foremost, as a Christian woman, we've got God, we've got Jesus, who has promised to be with us until the end of the ages. There's nothing that I will go into in this life that will surprise him. So I don't need to know everything. I can equip myself the best that I can, but I don't need to know everything. And if you're not Christian, if you don't believe in that, I think there can be a lot of peace found in just surrendering and understanding that there are things that you can control, and that is great, but there's also a lot to discover on the other side of the unknown. It's okay and it's good to let go of certain ideas and certain ways of thinking that you thought you'd always think about things a certain way. You thought that you'd always value certain things. And motherhood can be transformative for a lot of women. They may discover that I actually don't value this thing, I actually value that thing. And that's fine. Allow yourself to grow and transform. I hope there was something in there that was mildly encouraging. If you're a mother, a first-time mom, second-time mom, what are some things you would love to tell your former self? Please kindly leave them down below. I really think it will encourage me and encourage any other woman that may be stumbling upon this video weeks, months, years down the line. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have other motherhood, homemaking, marriage, life videos on my channel. YouTube thinks that you will like this one, wherever it is somewhere. So please go ahead and check it out. I really hope to see you soon.